All right, good evening, everyone. Continuing to track some showers and thunderstorms. Wanted to go ahead and break in just to kind of show what we've got going on here across the areas. There's a few spots that are really getting ready to see quite a thunderstorm move through, primarily in southeastern Illinois. So let's see here if we can kind of get some things going here. And it looks like right across southeastern Illinois is really where we're going to be watching here. Primarily moving into, say, El Dorado. We'll be watching places like Ridgeway and El Dorado and Shawneetown and Omaha and North City as they continue to deal with some pretty strong storms, again, moving that way. And there's the latest image of radar showing up. And when I look over to velocity, I really think that going through Ridgeway, heading into Shawneetown, so this just went through the Omaha area there in northern parts of Gallatin County, but southeastern parts, well, I would say eastern parts of Saline County, El Dorado, and over towards Equality. I'll tell you what, guys, they're right along Route 13. I'm going to plot in some of the roads here real quick. Let me tell you, though, some of these storms that are moving into these areas, again, primarily right along Route 13 towards Equality, between Harrisburg, Equality, SIC sits right in here. And then over towards, let's see here. Let's see if we get the rest of these in here. These guys, these are going to be very, very strong storms as these are moving through. Again, moving into Gallatin County, northern parts of Gallatin County right now dealing with this, and then again the eastern parts of Saline County. So really just pushing through El Dorado again, heading into Equality and Shawneetown. Old Shawneetown also going to be dealing with this, and really some of the strongest winds likely coming into Ridgeway. So what you're seeing, so let me know what you're seeing right now, because again we don't really have. We don't always have boots on the ground, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued. So that's kind of an update there for Gallatin, Hamilton, Saline, and White counties, but they've now upgraded that warning. So for 70-mile-per-hour winds. That's why I wanted to join on here as we are tracking this, because again, there is some extremely strong straight line winds coming in with this one. The tornado threat here this evening is very low, so I'm not too concerned about tornadoes with this, but I am definitely concerned about the potential for some very, very strong straight line winds. These things are moving a little bit more south and eastward. Put the motion on that. You can see that kind of moving through there. So these are moving more south and eastward. So again, Gallatin County is probably going to be the ones that end up getting rocked with this storm here over the next little bit. Let's see what I've got going on. Trying to get everything set up here for you guys. Sorry, I didn't really plan on going live tonight, but this storm was strong enough that it had me a little concerned as we were tracking this, again, working its way south and eastward. I'll go back over to reflectivity. I'm going to try to put out a few messages on the app as well, but I'll tell you, this storm, the path of it. So if you are in Marion, not concerned with this, okay? So if you're joining me this evening from anywhere from Benton to West Frankfort or Marion, I'm not concerned with this. Lake of Egypt, you guys are good to go. But anywhere from about, say, Harrisburg eastward to Ridgeway, Equality, Shawneetown, this is a very strong storm moving in. This is going to continue to push southward. So, again, we're talking about Equality and Shawneetown, but then even looking down the way, when we start looking at Roseclair and E-Town and Cave and Rock, Carver's Ridge, all of the areas in Hardin County that we're probably familiar with, Garden of the Gods area. So if you've got friends, maybe family that are out camping at the Garden of the Gods area, make sure that you are alerting them that there is a very strong straight line windstorm coming into that area. Okay, so that's what we are continuing to track here as this works its way to the south and east across southeastern Illinois. Try to get some comments here as well. I'm also trying to keep up with some of your Facebook comments and the pictures that are getting sent to me. Also seeing a few of those. Looks like we just had a couple. Yeah, there's a really impressive shelf cloud, it looks like, with this one coming in. So that's also an indication sometimes of those strong straight line winds. But that is going to be moving right into, looks like that was sent to me at 7:04, so about 10 minutes ago. That was in El Dorado. So that, again, is working its way southward. Trying to keep up with as many of your comments as we can keep an eye on here. All right, so let's kind of widen some things out. I got into this real quick here, and there's a storm southeastern Illinois that we are tracking. Notice further to the west, things are much, much quieter. A couple little radar returns up towards the St. Louis area, and we'll have to see if we see any expansion westward with this. I'm going to plot in real fast so that you guys can see it. The severe thunderstorm watch that has been issued for southeastern Illinois. So notice there in the pink color, you can see areas basically from McLeansboro to North City, Carmi, southward Harrisburg and Rosiclare, and then all the way into Pope, Hardin, Saline, Gallatin, White, Hamilton, and Jefferson counties on the counties that I cover. Those are under a severe thunderstorm watch until midnight, okay? However, what we are really talking about and focusing in is on the severe thunderstorm warning that now is in effect for eastern parts of Saline County, much of Gallatin County. And if you're not in a severe thunderstorm warning right now for Gallatin County, give it a little time. I think we're going to see this quickly expanded southward, as again, this storm has a lot of wind that is showing up right now on radar. So that's what it looks like from that angle as well. So very, very strong winds. If you've got reports or if you've got anything, it looks like Delaney saying heavy winds just went through the Broughton area. So there you go. Delaney saying heavy winds just went through. So that's a pretty good indication. Broughton's right here. And that's actually going to be quite a bit south of you now. Heavy rain in the Ridgeway area. Kay, you're mentioning heavy rain in Ridgeway. Is there any really strong winds with that? Because that looks like some of the strongest winds probably went through the Ridgeway area. And I bet you that we're starting to see a little bit of damage from this storm as it's working its way southward. So that's what we're keeping an eye on this evening. I've got some questions coming in about how quickly this is going to be over. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. As again, I'm just trying to get everything situated here. But very strong winds coming through with this one. Seeing if I can switch over here real fast to look at a couple of other things, just because I've got a feeling that again we are probably seeing some wind damage with this, so I'm a little concerned about that as this is working its way southward. Again, the threat here this evening is not going to be really any. I'm not too concerned with tornadoes. That's just not the type of setup we're in. These are more your typical run-of-the-mill summertime thunderstorms that have a tendency to really produce some strong straight line winds as they are making their way southward. So that's really what I'm most concerned with this evening. So again, I know there's a lot of folks asking about the tornado threat, but it's just not it's not what I'm concerned about at this point. Okay. So again, if you've got comments or you've got real strong winds, Beth says there, moving into Ridgeway. Currently a lot of wind, torrential rainfall. Seeing some of that right now also is coming in. That is in Quality. We were just talking about you guys. Yeah, downpour, strong winds, lightning coming in here. So that's what we are watching on that mode. I'm going to switch this over and see if I can. All right, I'm going to switch this over, see if we can see this a little bit better here. Sometimes if I use a different product, we can see this just a little bit better. So those are the strong straight line winds we're talking about. That is really strong, though. See if we can look at exactly how fast some of these winds are. And that's 70-mile-an-hour winds right there, 75-mile-per-hour winds. So that's heading right down Route 1. So Junction's getting hit with that right now, and then that's going to continue to track down Route 1. All right, so power just went out in Junction, and that looks like, she says it came right back on. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. So, again, track on that is going to continue southward. Let me see. It looks like we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued on that storm. So that severe thunderstorm warning, once again, has just been issued. And actually, look at that. They are upgrading that. So new severe thunderstorm warning just issued on this storm further to the south. So that takes it all the way down. I'm going to put a storm track on this real quick, guys. So that would take it all the way southward into Hardin County. It does include the far eastern part of, it's like they went ahead and included the far eastern part of Pope County, all of Hardin County, the rest of Gallatin, and then the southeastern corner of Saline County as well. So that's what we're watching right there. Again, tracking right down Highway 1 or Route 1 there. Newest update, maybe not quite as pronounced, so maybe some good news there that we're seeing that. Still, though, extremely strong winds. Kind of gives you an idea of where this thing's heading. So some times there, and that looks like they're moving in at 46 miles per hour. So let me fix that real fast here. Kind of in that range. So Cave and Rock coming in about 738. E-Town, again, Garden of the Gods is getting ready to hit there. And it really is tracking right down Route 1 as we speak. A lot of rain. Looks like power out on Route 14. Looks like that's further to the north. Thank you for the report on that. You just don't see it very often where we see wind gusts 60, 70 miles an hour. That's kind of common. But when you start talking about warnings where they're putting a destructive tag on it with potential for 80 mile per hour winds, that's why I wanted to hop on here with you guys so that we can see that and we can be tracking that. All right, so there it is. All right, so going back over here, looking at this again, where this thing's tracking, pretty much right down Route 1. Zoom in here. Looks like maybe the leading edge of it. Look how fast this thing's moving. So it is actually, so that's already pushed, the strongest part is already pushed, well, it is pushing south of Junction. So we'll say the Crenshaw house is in here. There's the distance. So Garden of the Gods is going to be right up into this area, kind of right over here. There's Highway 34 right here. There's Carver's Ridge Road. So Carver Ridge Road right now is where this thing's approaching. And then it's going to continue southward down Spivey Road. Again, kind of the leading edge of it. State Highway 1 is definitely in the path of that. But then you're talking about Decker Spring Road. If you live south of Carver's Ridge Road on Decker Spring Road, if you live south of Carver's Ridge Road onto Spivey Road, these are extremely strong straight line winds that are heading your way. All right. So that's going to continue southward. I would really say anywhere from between 34 and Route 1 is probably going to see the most significant winds with this. So it's really getting into the heart of the Shawnee. And then get ready, guys. You've got just a little while in places like Rosiclare and Elizabethtown and Cave and Rock. This thing is still a little bit, see how far this is out for you guys. Currently, it's about 11 miles away, but as fast as this thing's moving, it's just not. It's going to be there very quickly. Again, so that's the big bright. When you start seeing those bright colors show up, that's a big concern of ours. And again, what you're seeing is anywhere from 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and that's why the National Weather Service went ahead and put a pretty strongly worded tag on that, saying that they think that there's potentially going to be some very, very strong straight line winds. A couple of reports seen, looks like tree branches down on the highway between North City and El Dorado. Drive cautiously. So there's a great report. Thank you, Sarah, for passing that along. Appreciate that one as well. Hey, Heather, I'm going to answer your question real quick. So further westward over towards Marion, I'm just not as concerned with it at this point. Really think that the bulk of this is going to be east of you. Again, putting a storm track on this. I'll show that back up on the map here real quick. Let me go ahead and throw that back over there. So this is what we're tracking, all right? So it is pretty much due south at this point where the strongest winds are heading. Just now getting into the far northern part of Hardin County. So Cave and Rock, there's the time there, about 7:37. E-Town coming in at about 7:38. Starting to see some reports come around. I'm going to send out a quick message via the Nickhausen weather app as well. So give me just a second because I want to get that done. I always want to make sure that these folks are aware that this storm is producing what it is. Again, very strong straight line winds. Starting to see quite a few reports of some tree damage in there. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So if you've got the Nickhausen weather app, this is one of the things I like to do. I like to make sure that we are letting folks in the path of these storms know ahead of time so that they can kind of gear up and get ready for it. So right now I'm going to send this out to folks in Hardin County and just let them know, hey, you've got a potentially very, very dangerous storm heading your way. All right, so that's getting sent out right this second. All right, so staying with you, continuing to watch this one. Again, National Weather Service continues to track this thing moving southward. Very fast-moving storm for this time of year. A lot of times we get in the summer and these things do not... a lot of these things just don't move very quickly. So continuing to watch that. So there's the times we're watching. I'm going to go ahead and click that off. We're going to switch back over to the other radar because I want to show you that one. Again, it continues to be a little bit brighter and maybe highlights it better. Also, I can get the roads in here. So Decker Spring Road. So this right now, the strongest winds are right between, say, Thacker Hollow, Leamington Road, and Carver's Ridge. And that's going to continue to move southward. So some of the other streets in there's Hickstown Road. I know for folks that are in this area that are very familiar with Hickstown Road, Decker Spring Road, north-south one coming down through there, and Bassett Road as well. So that's going to continue. Hasty Mine sits about right up in this area, maybe a little bit further to the east there. Would be pretty close to that as well as this is moving in. Again, probably about next 5 minutes or so is where that's going to be moving. Power flickering, looks like Saline Landing in Hardin County. We're hoping that this evening that this is it, but we'll see. Again, there's still a chance that we could end up with a few more storms develop, but I'll show you in a minute kind of some of the outlooks of what to expect here the rest of the evening. But right now, again, mostly concerned with very strong straight line winds moving southward into Hardin County in particular. Really moving through and it looks like maybe some of the strongest winds right along and maybe west of Route 1. Again, really think this is going to be moving into Rosaclare and E-Town probably first. And it does appear that most of the activity we see this evening is probably going to be concentrated across southeastern Illinois. That's why we've got the severe thunderstorm watch there. Looks like we got a new comment. So just lost power. Thank you, Keisha, for passing that along. Just lost power in the Cadiz area, so that's going to be in the eastern part of Hardin County. That's going to be kind of up in this area, close to the Gallatin and Hardin County line in the eastern part. So we're starting to see some reports coming in from there. Interestingly, I just saw the comment come through, and I'm going to go ahead and switch this back over. So the National Weather Service actually just extended the watch a couple of counties westward. That's kind of interesting. We'll have to watch also some of these outflow boundaries, but the National Weather Service actually just extended this watch to also include Franklin, Williamson, Johnson, and Massac County. So if you did not, or if you're just maybe on your Nick Hausen weather app, maybe you're just now getting that notification that, hey, you just had a severe thunderstorm watch issued. That's why, is we just saw the National Weather Service issue a watch and extend that just one row of counties a little bit further to the west. But really, at this point, nothing else is really changing our thoughts. I'll go ahead and kind of break down exactly what to expect here the rest of the evening. I'm going to switch this back over real fast here to the other radar. And then I want to break down and show you guys what I'm looking at this evening. But again, if you are just joining us, this is going to be the strongest one. Is Shawneetown clear from this particular storm? Yeah, I really think the worst of it is by you, for sure. Christy saying wind is crazy right now in Harrisburg. So that's that outflow boundary. And we'll talk about that here in just a second as well, and kind of break down what to expect. But yes, Shawneetown at this point, at least from this storm, is in the clear. Yes. Dean asking about Creel Springs. Just saw your comment pop up there. These storms are well east of you. You're getting ready to see the outflow boundary push through. So I would expect some winds, probably from the east, to move up here in just a bit. All right, let's go ahead and I'll show you here what to expect the rest of the night. I'm going to back this up. So this is picking up at about 8 o'clock. So say from a half hour or so from now. Notice the National Weather Service kind of issuing the watch a little bit further to the west. Watching those storms. Again, that we could see some additional storms. Look at all the storms developing out here to the east, though, later on tonight and into early Monday morning. Notice where they're focused. They are mainly focused east of us. So right now, I really am expecting the bulk of what we see this evening probably going to end up being what we're dealing with right now in Hardin County. And then we'll have to watch. Again, this outflow boundary is something that we'll have to keep an eye on here as we continue into the evening hours. And the reason I say that is those little outflow boundaries, especially with as much heat and humidity as what we had this afternoon. And there it is. Let's put the time back on here for you. Notice this little boundary kind of getting pushed out here. Come on. Waiting on my, there we go. There we go. So this little boundary you see here that's moving into Carrier Mills, notice it is pushing westward. So it is going to be heading towards Stone Fort, Creel Springs, and Goreville, and New Burnside, maybe even getting all the way over to Marion. So that little boundary is going to act as a cold front, mini cold front, working its way westward. And as it does so, we could see some additional development near that front. So that's something we'll be keeping an eye on here, probably over the next half hour or so. Saying the wind is bad right now in Cave and Rock. So yeah, that's going to be the, let's go back here. Looks like maybe even some of the worst winds are actually still to your north if you're in Cave and Rock. So give it some time. I actually think the winds might even pick up more. Chavis asking about that. I'm going to switch this back over. So we've been watching this storm. There it is. So the strongest wind is just now approaching 146. So yes, Chavis, you're going to be dealing with this here over the next little bit. Amanda saying Broughton, so that was a little bit further to the north there when the storm was rolling through there. It got hammered. Yes, you guys saw quite a storm move through. So yeah, I mean, just this thing is moving so fast. It's just so rare for us to see storms move this quickly in the summertime. Heck of a storm, though, I'll tell you that. So E-Town, Rosiclare, you guys are really going to be the ones that kind of deal with this very shortly. If you're not already dealing with strong straight line winds from Cave and Rock to Elizabethtown, Rosiclare, right there on 146, and maybe even further to the west, I would say taking it all the way down to Shetlerville and to say where San Dominamo. Apologize my pronunciation of that. Kind of in those areas, I would say basically the southern part of Hardin County, though. Cave and Rock, E-Town, Rosiclare, all the way close to where the Job Corps is as well, the old Job Corps facility there. So crossing over 146 and then sliding to the south. So, but I really think that maybe some of the strongest winds are actually going to push through E-Town. Belva saying that El Dorado got hammered with it. So yeah, that's what we're seeing. We saw a lot of winds with that. You guys are still dealing with a pretty strong wind or a lot of strong, real heavy rain, a lot of lightning with that storm. But again, what we're seeing is probably the strongest winds. Yeah, definitely through Hardin County there. Buncombe's supposed to get it tonight. I see a lot of folks. It's Pittsburgh. So again, I'll switch back over again real quick, guys. So outflow boundary moving westward. That's that little line here. Rain cooled air getting pushed west and really riding down 13. That's going to move into the eastern sections of Williamson County through Pope County and into Johnson County here in just a bit. So it's going to get windy when that moves through. Winds out of the east are going to move in and say from Pittsburgh to Corinth, southward to Creel, right along 166, over towards Crab Orchard. You guys are going to actually end up some pretty strong winds as well. I don't think they're severe by any means, but definitely some strong winds as that's moving through. But the main focus and really right now, the biggest concern remains the storm that's in Hardin County. All right, guys, keep going kind of back and forth here. So maybe some of the strongest winds actually going through right now in Elizabethtown, Cave and Rock. Let me know what you guys are seeing. Again, we can't be everywhere. We have a pretty good idea of what radar's picking up on, but sometimes we're not really sure if all the wind is making it to the ground. So please let me know if that's what you're seeing as strong straight line winds. in those areas. Pass along reports. If you got trees down, you got power outages and down. I know passing along reports maybe not the number one thing that you're dealing with, but definitely something that does matter. Look, I just messed all that up. Okay, so that's what we are continuing to watch. Again, strong, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to fix something here real quick. There we go. All right, so let's get back to it. All right, let's go back and let's look at. All right, let's go back over here. All right, so here we go. Rosaclare, E-Town, thanks for coming on. It looks like, yep, dealing with some high winds, seeing a lot of reports of that. Asking about, I've had this question come up quite a bit, so I do want to answer it. Asking about tornado threat this evening, very low. In fact, the threat overall for tornadoes is pretty low this evening. Again, we'll have to watch this little outflow boundary as it moves through. As that little outflow boundary is like a mini cold front. So it could trigger some additional storms further westward. That's why we saw the National Weather Service extend the severe thunderstorm watch just a little bit further to the west. Trying to answer as many comments, as many things as we've got going on here, guys. Also, kind of keeping an eye on the storm a little bit further northward. Little storm here coming into Raleigh and Harrisburg right now. Could have some pretty strong winds with that as well, but it's behind the outflow boundary. So I'm kind of watching this little hook up here in the top of that. At this point, I'm not too concerned with it, but it is something we'll continue to watch as well as that continues to push southward. Notice if you look at the velocity scans here, maybe not quite as impressive up on this area. Some reds and some greens coming together, but nothing too concerning. Again, some of the strongest winds I really feel like, here they are. If we go back over to that, still getting some 60-mile-per-hour winds in E-Town right now, and then now moving into Kentucky. That's going to be moving into Crittenden County and Livingston County in Kentucky, over towards, say, Marion, Kentucky, and Salem, Kentucky. So again, not Marion, Illinois, but Marion, Kentucky. Getting some questions about Stone Fort. No, but I'll tell you what, if you're in Stone Fort, Casey, you've got some real strong winds moving in from the east. So again, that's going to be coming in from a different direction than what we're used to. But if you look east, if you're in Stone Fort, that's an outflow boundary. It's moving westward, getting ready to move into Williamson County and Pope County. So that's rain, cooled air. We'll have to see if that triggers any more thunderstorm development here over the next little bit. Going back to see if we've got any reports coming through as well. Had the hail in it. Interesting. See a little bit of report there. Thank you, Becky, for passing that along. That's on the northern storm there. So seeing a report of some hail coming in with that. It's going to be this area right up here. Looks like maybe some pea-sized hail. A lot of times, honestly, we don't see a lot of hail this time of year. It's so hot here down here at the ground level that sometimes we don't see hail just because, well, it melts a lot of times before it makes it down here. All right, so if you're just joining me, I'll break down everything that we've got going on. Let me throw the motion back on this. Big round of storms, southeastern Illinois right now. If you're in Marion, if you're in West Frankfort, if you're in Benton or Mount Vernon, in Vienna, you're saying, what are you guys talking about? Carbondale, you guys are wondering what in the heck we're talking about. But we've had a big round of storms move through southeastern Illinois, prompting multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. And I'll tell you, guys, some impressive severe thunderstorm warnings, destructive tags, 80-mile-per-hour wind tags on it. So very, very strong winds now. Those were diving to the south and eastward. Notice where those storms looks like it's kind of starting to form into what we call an MCS, so mesoscale convective system. Very common this time of year. Dive into the south. We're kind of on the western edge of it. If you're in Harrisburg or Galatia, you're still under a severe thunderstorm. Well, excuse me. If you're in the southeastern part of Saline County, Harrisburg, El Dorado, you guys are not currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. Galatia, Harrisburg, Shawnee, or Carrier Mills, you guys are dealing with some either gusty winds from the outflow, or from Harrisburg to Galatia, you guys are dealing with some heavy rain. The same in El Dorado and Equality. Shawneetown, Ridgeway, the worst of it is by you. In fact, the rain has probably lightened up quite a bit for you. And even some of our strongest winds signatures, and we'll show you that real quick here, in Hardin County. Notice we've still got some 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds but the leading edge is going to be where the bulk of this wind is going to be, is now starting to shift into Kentucky, into Crittenden and Livingston County in Kentucky. So if I go back to this, you'll see that there is a line here that's on radar. And if you're wondering what that is, that's what we call rain-cooled air. It's called an outflow boundary. Okay, so all that rain that's going on in Harrisburg and El Dorado and Equality and out by SIC right now, all of that is sending some rain-cooled air. You notice how much cooler it is than it was maybe earlier in the day. That is sending that cooler air westward, and that is sending it towards Creel Springs, and it's sending it towards Pittsburgh and Crab Orchard, the town, and all of those areas. So that is rain-cooled air getting pushed westward. You're going to see winds pick up from that. Simpson to Creel to Lake of Egypt, Stoneford, it's going through you right now. Crab Orchard, the town, sits right about in here. I was hoping to get it plotted in there. Pittsburgh, Marion, you guys, in Marion, that thing may make it to you. And if it does, again, right now, we'll have to see if this prompts any more storms to develop, because, again, it does act as a mini cold front. However, if nothing else, it's going to bring some gusty winds and a significant cool down and drop in humidity as well, at least briefly through tonight into early tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow afternoon, we are right back in the heat of it. So just because you're seeing some of these storms move through right now does not necessarily mean that we're out of the woods and that we're not going to see another really sweltering day tomorrow. That's still a possibility, and still pretty likely as well. But it is going to bring some brief temperature relief here this evening. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. Look how big this warning is, and I bet you it's got a pretty significant tag. So they put a 70-mile-an-hour wind tag on that. That warning does just barely include parts of Pope County. So Golconda, you're technically in that warning. Looks like maybe Big Bay as well. Big Bay City, right across from Smithland there. You guys are also in that warning. The rest of Pope County is not in the severe thunderstorm warning. So again, areas right basically along the Ohio River are in that warning. So that's what we're continuing to watch. Starting to see a couple pictures come in, pretty large tree limbs down in some areas. Saw some tree branches down in El Dorado, a couple reports there. I did see a report just a little while ago that was sent to me, also showing and saying that there were maybe some limbs down, quite a few limbs down between North City and Broughton as well. So we have had quite a few reports of strong straight line winds as this has been moving through here over the last couple of hours. It really does help us again if you can pass along any of those safely. And I know that's not always the first reaction is, hey, we need to tell everybody this is happening. But if you can pass those along safely, it is a help, and it definitely helps us as well. Hoping to get a good view of this outflow boundary coming in from the west, because it should be, or from the east, moving to the west. It should be a real nice shelf cloud is what we're seeing, probably on the leading edge of that. This is a live view from actually south of Marion, looking back towards the west. And you kind of make out, go this around, appreciate the cameras here from Northbridge as well. You can kind of make out the shelf cloud on the leading edge of that. So that's that outflow boundary, that rain-cooled air getting just now pushed into the western parts of the eastern parts of Williamson County. I'm so used to saying western because we see so many storms come from the west. So asking also, again, we'll be watching that outflow boundary as it gets a little closer to us because there is a chance that we see some additional storms develop. Keep looking to see if we got anything upstream developing as well, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So it is something we'll watch, but here this evening, it really appears that some of the worst of it is probably by us. We're watching this little storm moving through Harrisburg right now. No warning on it, but it looks like probably the worst of it is starting to kind of wrap up for us here for the next little bit. Again, if you are joining me and you saw maybe just a little while ago where we had the severe thunderstorm watch, that's here in the pink color. When that was initially issued, it did include Jefferson County, and it included Hamilton and White and Saline and Gallatin and Pope and Hardin County as well. They extended that one row of counties further west, so it does include now Franklin and Williamson and Johnson, as well as Massac. But what I'm going to do, I think, guys, if that's cool with you, trying to answer as many. Yep, Kimberly asking about that. So, Kimberly, you guys are not in a severe thunderstorm warning. You're not even in a severe thunderstorm watch at this point. Again, the main focus is going to be some of these storms that we're continuing to track across southeastern Illinois and anything that this outflow boundary could generate. But again, we really are not seeing that at this point. We're not seeing any additional storms, but it's possible. Kim giving us a pretty good heads up there, saying that outflow boundary feels so cool. Yes, I feel. I can imagine. I'm a little jealous. I actually am probably going to hopefully get in on that action here in just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the headline here. I'm probably going to hop off. Again, this warning, I know it's still in effect. Looks like maybe for another couple of minutes. But I think that they're going to let this warning go ahead and expire. I keep looking for any type of reports that are coming through. We've had several reports. If you do have some wind reports, please leave them in the comment section below. I'm going to leave radar up for a little while as we continue to watch these storms. I'm going to switch the audio to being off, though. Tiffany asking, is Hardin County's main threat? Yes, at this point, I do think that the worst of it is by you, yes. We'll be asking, is Mount Vernon completely in the clear for the evening? We'll watch the chance for some additional storms to develop, but it right now looks like the risk is fairly low here through the rest of the night. I'm not going to say it's zero. We still have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until midnight, but I do think that the threat through the rest of this evening is going to be a little bit lower. All right, so again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to update the titles here real quick. I'm going to put no audio on there right now, and if we come back in, we'll fix that. But no audio, and then I'm going to hop off of here for a bit. Believe it or not, guys, I'm going to go spend some additional time with my family, if possible, here on a Sunday night. And appreciate them as well for just kind of letting me do this thing. I enjoy doing it with you guys, but it does take some time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the mics. I'm going to leave radar up. And if there's any additional warnings or if we see any additional threats kind of develop, I'm going to watch this one real quick before I do this. Yeah, if I see any additional threats pop up or any other additional concerns, then I will hop back on here with you guys. And actually, I'll tell you what, how about we do this? How about we stay on for another couple minutes? Once we get to 8 and they drop this warning, then I'll send it back, but we'll hop off of here. But I do not want to leave the folks in, again, if you are just joining us from Ridgeway or Junction or Shawneetown, love the folks, love Southeastern Illinois folks, quality Shawneetown, Garden of the Gods, Carver's Ridge, you guys all there. So I don't want to just leave you hanging. So I am going to stay with you for about another 2 minutes or so before this warning's cleared. And then I'm just going to turn it off without any audio. If there's any main concerns, if we watch the outflow boundary redevelop any storms, then we'll hop back on. Kind of keeping an eye on that storm as well. Go back over to that. Great view there of the, again, what looks like the outflow boundary. So that's that rain cool air. A little jealous, you guys there south of Marion. You guys are getting ready to see that push through. So this is still a few more miles away from this this camera. Plan on trying to go back through some reports because I know that we had several reports come through of potential damage as well. No, I appreciate that comment, Larry. I really do. Amanda, I think the risk overall the rest of the night for you in Williamson County is low. I won't say zero. There's still a chance we could see some additional storms develop upstream, but there's definitely a chance that we could see that. Seeing some reports come through here. Still seeing what that is. I'll tell you what that. That line, when it went through, it meant business. Boy, it had some very, very strong winds with it. 2 more minutes here or so. Again, I'm not trying to count down, but we are going to let you go here for the evening. Broughton saying area good. Yeah, I think that overall you guys are generally in the clear. Again, we'll have to see if there's any additional storms that develop upstream. But right now it looks like everything is pretty much focused in on this earlier round. And the atmosphere should be a little bit more stable after this went through as well, especially across southeastern Illinois. injunction, the threat for a tornado is extremely low here, especially through the rest of the night. So it does look like we have some power outages there in Hardin County. It looks like now about 540 customers without power in Hardin County. We have about 180 in Hamilton and several others. So again, we have seen some strong storms roll through. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to turn my camera off. Audio is going to turn off as well. If there are any other additional warnings that pop up, I'll hop back in here in just a bit. I'll probably turn the live stream off right around 8:30 if no additional storms develop along the outflow. So if so, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Hopefully everybody was safe. Thanks for dealing with me. I was kind of a mess here this evening to get started. But yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes on a Sunday afternoon. So appreciate it and stay safe, everyone.